All right, gang, we are back at it. We are at Valence Cemetery, or Valence Cemetery, however you pronounce it, in New Orleans. New Orleans. Hope everybody's happy with the pronunciations. I got it all covered. Yeah, we are on the part 3 here. If you haven't checked out part 1 or 2, I'll put the links in, but we're on this lesser known New Orleans cemeteries, common people, and we've done some research. Again, shout out to Deb. Let's take a walk to the first grave where we've done a little bit of homework to find out who some of these people were. The common people, if you will. Nobody famous, but they should be famous in their own way. They should at least be remembered. And here we are at the Cook family plot, step grave. And there are a lot of memorials here, but what we were looking for is the son, husband, in memory of Fred J. Cook, and he was a patrolman here. Fred was 30 years old. He was assigned to the 2nd District Police Station here, and he died at his residence, 422 Harmony, at 3:05 a.m. He had been ill since August 26. Fred had been a member of the New Orleans Police Department since October 1st, 1946, and a World War II veteran. He collapsed in the bathroom of his home, and he was pronounced dead at the Charity Hospital, which then was the big hospital here. Charity was the big hospital. Patrolman Cook was survived by his widow, the former Miss Mary Helen Smith, his mother, Adele, 2 sisters, George, and his 2 sisters, Mrs. George Smith and Mrs. William Parks, and a brother, Robert L. Cook. So we see a lot of the Cooks. We have Robert Cook here, passed away in 1997. Thank you for your service. And William H. Parks Sr., World War II veteran, died in 95. Wow, a lot of vets in this family. Look at here, World War II. There's Fred. And there's Dorothy Parks, William Parks Sr. And this one says mother, Adele. Yeah, that's for Adele. All right. And there it is. Little information on the Cook family. Okay, let's rest in peace, Cook family, and let's proceed onward. Okay, we here have a police officer at this tomb right here, Giblin. Giblin is the name, and there are several names here. And I'll tell you a little bit about Corporal Charles Alphonse Giblin. He was actually shot in the line of duty here. I don't see his name. I see Lawrence. I see Bernice. His name is probably up there on the bigger stone, but most of it's pretty much illegible. What I can't see is the name Johnson. But it says, well, the Giblin, you see the Giblin name is right here, so he's got to be here. But let me tell you what happened, and I'm going to read it from the Times, and don't be offended with some of the terms, which are offensive today, but that was back in the old days. So Charles A. Giblin, Corporal Charles Giblin, was 51 years of age, 531 General Pershing Street, and he was a night corporal at the 2nd Precinct Police Station. And it says he was shot and instantly killed late Sunday night by half-crazed drunken Negro Will Bryant. He's a longshoreman residing at 1300 Rampart Street. It says that Corporal Giblin with supernumerary patrolman Alex Scherer went to the Negro's home when told by 2 Negro girls that Bryant was threatening to kill them and his wife. Corporal Giblin was killed when the Negro fired through the door as the officer approached. After killing Corporal Giblin, the Negro gave chase to his wife, Tilly Bryant, who had fled from the house and shot her 4 times. She was fatally wounded. The Negro himself was then killed by policeman Scherer. So that's the story, and may all remember Corporal Giblin, who was cut down in the line of duty. All right, let's go this way. Rest in peace, Corporal Giblin. Okay, we're looking for the step grave for a man named Louis Graff. And it is in this plot that Louis is buried, and there is his name right here. Louis Graff. Well, find a grave and ancestry records show that Louis was married to a woman named Amelia Whitmire, and he was a chauffeur for an undertaker here. Now, let's see if we can find Amelia. I'm looking over there. I see Graffs. I don't see her, but guessing she is here somewhere because that is the family name. Okay, rest in peace to the Whitmires and the Graffs. We're off to look for another grave. This grave is John Jacob Pfeiffer. It should be right up here to the left, just after this little intersection here, square 3. So I found out that Peter, or I should say Deb helped find out, John Jacob Peter Pfeiffer fell from a car. John Jacob Peter Pfeiffer fell. Let's see. Yeah, I think it was a trolley car. Yeah, there it is, Pfeiffer. And if I walk along the side here, can't really see any inscriptions, but this is where he is. So the deal is, well, I'll read from the newspaper Times-Picayune, November 14th, 1906, that John Jacob Peter Pfeiffer, fatal fall from car. Veteran printer strikes Canal Street curb but escapes seemingly unhurt, and fractured skull is not discovered until too late. A very sad accident resulted last evening in the death of Peter Pfeiffer, a compositor on the German Gazette. Mr. Pfeiffer was one of the veteran printers, and every morning he would take the magazine car to go to his home in the upper part of the city. So I guess it wasn't a trolley car, it was a truck or a car. And on Sunday morning, he got on as usual at Canal and Camp when someone said to him that it was not his car. and he became confused, and he jumped off, hitting his head on the pavement and becoming unconscious. He was picked up by those standing about, and assisted by police, they took him into May's drugstore, where he soon recovered and became conscious. Said that he was all right, and he did not remember that he had been hurt. He got on a car and went home. Well, I take that back. He got on a car, so it had to be a trolley car. He went to bed, and he never got up again. They sent for a doctor who thought he might have been suffering from Bright's disease, but a further examination on Monday showed that the back of his skull was fractured very badly. Tuesday morning, he was taken to the Hotel Dieu, and examination showed that he was so badly injured that there was no hope for his recovery. Passed away at 5 p.m. Mr. Pfeiffer had been employed on the German Gazette for 42 years. His father was a joint owner at one time with Jacob Hessinger, and began working in the office when he was 15 years of age. His father was one of the Confederates who refused to take oath and went to Rotan, where he had a sawmill, but afterwards located in Texas. He was a man of genial disposition and was respected and liked by all the newspaper people who knew him, and was a popular member of the Typographical Union. His death is very much regretted by a large circle of friends. What a sad story. You can see how life can be taken in an instant. We've heard this, people hitting their head, like, wasn't it Bob Saget? And there's other people I've heard, and they don't know, and a few hours later, they're dead. So, scary. All right, let's move on. Rest in peace, Mr. Pfeiffer. We are looking for the grave of a veteran who was killed in World War II. John Savarese. Well, let's walk this way. GPS says he's up in this direction. It was a plane crash in New Guinea. From the legacy of the 90th Bombardment Group, the Jolly Rogers article by Wiley O. Woods. Actually, it was a book, it was page 116. He talks about what happened, and we will read that section. I believe it was a B-17. We'll see. So here is his grave right here. John H. Savarese Jr., Louisiana. And yeah, it was May 15th, 1944. Very sad stories. The father and the mother, I believe, would be there. And I see, oh, here's the mother and the father. Savarese. Okay. So let's back out of here. And I will tell you what happened. A lot of heroes in World War II, folks. From the book, The Jolly Rogers, upon takeoff on a mission from the base at Nadzab, New Guinea, May 15, 1944, the Jolly Rogers with the 43rd and 22nd bomb groups were to hit Maffin Bay and sour areas. As First Lieutenant John H. Savarese Jr., one of the 320th Squadron, was taking off, his number 2 engine caught fire. Savarese was able to gain sufficient altitude to salvo his bombs, but the left wing dipped over and caught the ground as the plane cartwheeled. He probably stalled. With 3,100 gallons of gasoline on board, the plane was immediately engulfed upon impact. Flames were massive. The group continued takeoffs, but it was difficult for a pilot to take off over the burning wreckage of a friend's plane. Yeah, guys, that's the way it worked. The formations were, they were taking off in groups of maybe, gosh, anywhere from 100 to 200 planes, sometimes less. And it was all literally nose to tail, or they may have taken off in formation, but that was more the fighters. And the whole idea was to get up in the air, circle, and get your formation and then leave. There was no stopping for a crashed airplane of a friend. I mean, can you imagine? You're taking off, and what a dismal scene to be going on your bombing mission and looking down. It's like, well, that's one of us. That could have been me. Yeah. So there was a list of the men that died. Of course, you had 10 crew members, and I will try to remember to put that in the description box. And there was also a photographer on board. There was one survivor, Staff Sergeant Albert Goulet. He was a gunner from Cleveland, Ohio area, and he was the lone survivor. So there was one survivor. I can't imagine how he got out, but maybe he wasn't strapped in and he was ejected. That's many times what happened. So rest in peace, John. And thank you for your service. And thanking all the veterans. Rest in peace. All right, the last grave we're looking for is another police officer, but look at this. Wow. This is really falling apart. Well, this will give you a look at, I guess, what's inside. Not much here, I'm sure. Yeah. Just ruins. What I don't even know how you go about trying to repair this. Nothing much left. Nothing much left there. Pretty sad. Just rubble. Sure there's no family left. Baggio, looks like. 1912, I see a date. All right, so let's go here, up ahead here. And let's see, it's one of these graves here. Weber, Banks, Winstall. There we go. Henry Anthony Winstall is who we're looking for. And I see Thelma Sherman, but that's not Henry. And there's no other names here, but I'll tell you about Henry, who is buried here. He had died on a Friday night. Again, we're reading, and thanks, Deb, from an obituary or a short clip from the newspaper. He died Friday night at his home following an attack of pneumonia of only 5 days duration. He was 44 years old, and he had been a member of the police force here since the administration of Inspector Whitaker. Before that time, he was connected with the Levo work, and he was known as one of the most excellent policemen in the city. So, God rest in peace, and thanks for your service, sir. So, that's going to conclude. That is going to conclude our little walk here at Valence Cemetery. If you, and this is part 3 of 3, so for now that's it. If you like this, let me know. I want to do more of these, but I want to see if you all like this sort of thing. Many people are into just the famous people, but if you're into this kind of a different approach, you haven't tried this before, a little bit of an experiment. So if you like it, let me know. And what was your favorite of the 3 episodes? And I should say not just the 3 episodes, but what was your favorite story? I think mine was of Amelia Stork from the first episode at Masonic. And if you remember that story, we actually concluded with that story. And she had a little daughter, and I think that's what intrigued me about the story, was that the newspaper clipping of the story of the little girl's first communion and the big party they had and what they served and the champagne and the priests were there and over 50 people, and that's what I'm talking about. I go over in my mind's eye, almost like a time machine. I go back and I say, and I picture, what did it look like? And you create a picture of the port and the trees and all the people happy, and they're all dressed, men in bow ties probably, at ties at the very least, the women in beautiful dresses, the kids running around, the laughing, the music, they had an orchestra. And you read that and you say, wow, they were so happy. Just imagine. I mean, that's what resonates with me, is that it was such a happy day. And it's kind of like we have these moments like this. We all have these moments of happiness and togetherness like they did, and then they're gone. They're all gone, just like we will be. So it's melancholy. It's a warm feeling, and it's I think what makes history come alive, when your imagination, you read this stuff and you just put yourself there. So anyway, let me know what your favorite story is, and in comments, and if you like this format, we can go anywhere and do this. I want to do more of it. Let me know. If you don't like it, then we'll do less of it. All right, anyway. That's part 3 of 3, and I am out of New Orleans, back to Texas. See you guys later. Thanks for coming along.